So, hey guys, how are you doing today?
Doing good, doing good.
Awesome. Will you do me a huge favor? Just tell me who you are, what you guys do. I wanted to have you in to talk about your company because I think it's super fantastic.
My name's Jacob. Been a real estate agent for 19 years now. Started off in new home sales, did that for a couple of years, worked my way up to a land acquisition manager. From there, I went into selling REOs, closed approximately 500 REOs in 3-year period in a couple different states. Then I decided that I was needed some purpose, and I became a firefighter paramedic for 11 years.
Okay.
For the city of Sacramento. Was still dabbling in real estate, flipping some homes, selling some homes on the side, so never really actually left the real estate industry. And then about a year ago, I decided to make a move and start working for Sundae.
Okay. And what is Sundae exactly?
So Sundae is a prop tech company, which is basically a real estate technology company. And so what we do, we've created a marketplace that brings sellers of distressed homes and then investors who are cash or hard money loans only. And then we bring those two together, and the investors purchase the homes from the sellers.
Nice. Now, and what is it that you do?
My name is Steve Ravano. I'm the senior market expert for the Sacramento region. I've been in real estate since 2012. I owned my own flipping company before, built a few spec homes in Pebble Beach.
Nice.
Decided to, those were long 4-year projects. They were worth it. And then decided to make the jump to Sundae because it's helping people or homes that are in distress really kind of checks all the boxes for me. So I deal with the seller side. He deals with the buyer side.
So you guys have a ton of experience in like the flipping area, people, especially you with those distressed properties, people short selling, people in desperate need of getting rid of their home or cashing out, needing money, whatever it is.
Absolutely. So what I'll do with the investors is where I bring value is just helping them with ARV, so after repair value. So I'll comp the property out. I'll basically say, here are the comps that I would use if you had this property completely rehabbed. This is what it's worth. And then at this current condition, this is what I think it's worth. And our investors use different formulas. Some of them will use 70 to 80% of the ARV minus construction costs. Some will do, hey, I want 10% of cash invested. So then we can kind of work through the numbers and see if the properties make sense. And then from there, Steve starts the process. And I don't know if you want to talk about what you do up front, and then I can kind of talk about the back end because he kind of starts the process.
Okay. So, but real quick, when did Sundae get started? How old is Sundae? How long has it been around?
Sundae is 4 years old
Okay.
at this point.
Okay.
Started, our corporate offices were in San Francisco. Now we're kind of a hybrid because of COVID.
Yeah.
Most of us work out of our homes. A lot of the management is central to San Diego.
Okay.
We are currently in 11 markets across the country right now, most major metropolitan areas.
Nice. All right. And then, so you said each of you guys have a different role within Sundae, and what is it that you're doing?
So I work as the seller's agent. I go meet with them, figure out how to help them solve their problems, talk with them about, pricing. When I go to the house, I do pictures and a 3D tour of the property. Depending on the condition of the house, we might even do a home inspection as well. And I'm with the sellers from start to finish.
Okay.
Whether or not they transact or not, it's me, I'm dealing with them. And then, I bring them all the offers, and hopefully the investors bring something that the sellers like. And then we open up escrow, and from there on, it's a traditional sale. It goes through escrow. And then, then it kind of goes to Jacob after I've gone through my process and basically signed a listing agreement with them. We get him all the disclosures and all the discovery that he needs, and then he goes ahead and takes over his side of it.
Okay. And so when, for real estate agents, what would be something that a real estate agent would be looking for? They're not going to be able to just go in and list a hoarder house, for instance. What is it that they should be looking for to give you a call first, really, right? Or next, after they talk to the seller?
Absolutely. So there are a lot of homes that just cannot go to the MLS. They won't perform well. Those are what we specialize in. The investors love the dirty.
Yeah.
They really do, because it allows them to add value to it. So if they have a house that they don't want to deal with, fixing up, nor can the sellers, have the money to fix it up, those are perfect homes for us to go. If they have a very short timeline, your traditional route's not going to meet a short timeline. From start to finish, it'll take us 7 to 10 days to get multiple offers. And then the seller actually gets to choose the close of escrow anywhere from 10 to 60 days.
Wow.
So if they need to be out of the house in 20 days, we can make that happen.
Okay. So let's say a real estate agent goes into a place, it's a complete mess. It's a hoarder house, for instance. I'm sure you probably have tons of stories about hoarder houses and all that. Probably some funny ones too.
Too many to think about.
So you go in there, how are you able to convey like, hey, we can get rid of this thing for you to those sellers?
Sure, we can kind of do that a couple ways. One, if the agent knows initially what they're walking into, we can go with them for that initial appointment. Or if after they decide, hey, you know what, this isn't going to do well in the MLS, then we would basically set up a referral where they would bring us the client, and I could either work through the agent or they could just straight refer us to the client, and then we could take away and run with it. But when I go to the properties, when I'm walking through and doing the pictures and 3D tour, I'm also doing my scope of work of what I believe the investors will do to take the property to the next level. And that kind of spits out a range of where we believe the offers would come in. It's usually pretty accurate on the range. You know, sometimes we get undercut, sometimes we get blown away depending on where it is. You know, the investors like certain areas, and certain areas don't do too terribly well. But it's always worth a shot. And at the end of the day, it doesn't cost the sellers anything to go through our process.
Okay.
They don't pay any real estate fees, no closing costs, no inspection fees. The buyers, they pay all of that.
Okay.
So when I bring them the offers, it's a net number. All they need to take away from that is mortgages and liens.
Okay.
So it's really, and they're all non-contingent, as is offers, and no obligation. So it's really easy for the sellers to figure out if that number works for them instantly.
Okay. And how does it work with the agent? Do they just sit back and hope that they're going to get paid from this, or?
No, we have referral agreements that we do through our process. If they want to just hand it over, then they do a referral agreement. Otherwise, if they have the listing agreement, we have what's called a marketplace servicing agreement, which allows us to legally market it. And then we would actually deal directly with the agent, and he or she would be the go-between Sundae as well as the seller.
Okay. And then, so he handles all the beginning seller part and all that, and then you said it goes over to him. So what happens when it goes to Jacob?
So basically, once he's done at the house and he gets the home inspection, he gets the Matterport 3D tour, he gets the pictures, we get the prelim in, we get the disclosures and all of those, then I take over, and that's when I actually publish it on our marketplace. So our marketplace is where all the bidding happens. It's an auction style. So usually our properties are on for about 3 business days.
Really?
And that's where investors can come in. So a lot of investors will buy at the courthouse steps, sight unseen, right?
Yeah.
Well, by us providing sometimes hundreds of pictures, 3D tours, all the stuff that I mentioned, they have a lot more information so they can make a better decision on what the work is going to entail to rehab that property. And so basically what happens is I put it on the marketplace with all of that information. We've had about 26,000 investors register through our platform.
Whoa.
We have about 2,800 that are active and qualified bidders. So we have a huge group of investors that are very knowledgeable about these properties. So as he was talking about earlier, it could have permit issues, things like that a normal buyer wouldn't want to deal with. So we can disclose all that to the investors. And then from there, I publish it. And then they bid for 3 days auction style. The top offer gets the property. And then I submit a purchase agreement to them. They sign it. And then from that point, I present it back to Steve. And then the seller can accept it, they can counter, or they can reject it. So not every deal that goes onto our marketplace is going to transact, but a lot do. So if it does transact and the buyer and seller agree upon the terms and conditions, contract get executed, we send it off to our closing department, and then it's a normal escrow process, like Steve mentioned.
Okay. And how many transactions do you guys look at a month?
Me personally, 30 to 40 a month.
30 to 40 a month?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's an ebb and flow business, so you're going to have highs, you're going to have lows.
Exactly. And then from there, of those 30 to 40, like, how many are actually going into the Sundae platform and being put up there?
We go through a qualification process, so there are a lot of times that when we initially speak to them on the phone, we don't even go to meet with them because either their house is too nice, which is when we would try to do an agent referral out to people that are in our Sundae network, or if it is something that we feel like could be a fit for our marketplace and we have a legitimate shot to get the sellers what they need, then we would bring it to our marketplace. So it's kind of tough to put a number on it. I would say maybe 50% of what we are in front of is viable for the Sundae marketplace.
Okay. And is it cost money for an agent to be on your marketplace?
It does not.
And what do they have? What's the process for them to sign up with you guys?
Sure. So every Sundae employee has a Sundae referral network that if an agent were to reach out to them, we would send them a link or a QR code, and then they could sign up. And they also can build their downline so they can make passive incomes by signing up other agents, and they would get a portion of each one of the deals that those agents bring to us.
Really?
And the downline is unlimited.
Okay.
So they make literally a certain percentage. I think it starts at 5% at the first tier, and it kind of goes down from there. So they don't have to do anything other than get agents to sign up.
Okay. And if they get agents to sign up, there's
there's going to be deals to be had. Okay. Just no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Okay. And then what exactly, when you're going out, what are some of the key points that you're looking for in a house? So if somebody's listening to this or watching this, that they go, hey, I'm in trouble. I need to pay bills. I need to get out of this situation.
So definitely financial distress is a big portion of what we deal with. If there's a possibility of the seller losing a house, we want to do everything we can in our power to make sure that doesn't happen, because at the end of the day, if it gets foreclosed on, they're not getting anything.
Yeah.
So why not give them a little piece of something? And then when I go to the house, I'm looking for all the major systems: roof, windows, HVAC, water heater, the big ticket items. If the kitchen needs to be updated, bathrooms, flooring, or like in a hoarder house, you're going to need to trash it out. And that's kind of when my scope of work comes into play, so he can convey somewhat what we believe needs to be done to the property to really bring the house back to its glory.
Okay. And then Jacob, on your end, so you're working with the end user. You're working with the investor themselves.
Yes.
And so you're finding the money for this particular project.
So basically, we do have Sundae funding, which will do hard money loans. A lot of our buyers are cash buyers, so they have their own funding set up. I'm just responsible. I help them get registered, same thing. So if you're an investor looking to get on our marketplace to view all these off-market investment properties, same thing. I just send a link. You click it, first and last name, or your email and phone number, and then you have access. And then you have to talk to me because I have to approve you technically to go through kind of our systems and processes per se, because it's a little different, right? Like his sellers don't have to trash the house out. So they can't leave vehicles and they can't leave hazardous waste, but anything else they can leave behind. So I have to let the investors know, hey, make sure if it's a hoarder house that you budget for a trash out, because you're going to be the one trashing it out, right?
Yeah. So
there's little things like that there's no inspection contingency, or there's no contingencies at all, but there's no inspection contingency. You're going to be paying for the HOA dock prep fees. You're going to be paying both sides of the closing costs, right?
Yeah.
So those are the type of expectations I have to set with the buyers before I approve them, because I don't want them to bid on a house, think it's one way, and then I didn't set the expectations correctly, and now we don't have a happy investor. So we go through that process so that I can vet them, make sure they understand our processes, and once that happens, I can approve them. And then they have access to our marketplace. And they actually will have access to 5 or 6 different markets if they choose. So if they wanted to go down to LA or San Diego or the Inland Empire or Seattle or Las Vegas or places like that, they can also have access to properties in those markets as well.
Okay, so earlier you mentioned on the courthouse steps. Are the homes on the Sundae platform also going to be going to the courthouse steps? So I've noticed that I work with an attorney that I've gone with him to those, and he's auctioning off the properties there on the courthouse steps. And the people bidding on it don't have a clue what they're actually bidding on. Are those properties on your platform as well?
No. So some of our properties are headed to that type of auction, but we're trying to save it from going to that.
Okay.
So if someone's like, hey, I just got a foreclosure date and it's in 30 days and I don't have enough time to find an agent, deal with the normal MLS process, they can come to us. And like Steve said, within 10 days, we'll have multiple offers for you. So we average, I think last year, we averaged about 8 unique offers per property and about 29 different bids as well. So it's a lot of activity. For sure. So we try to avoid that going to the foreclosure sale, because once it does, then it's out of our hands after that.
It's totally out of your hands at that point, right?
Exactly.
Now, can you, after it goes to foreclosure, like let's say it does go to the courthouse steps and it does go to that foreclosure, somebody does bid on it, do you guys ever go in to try to like get the house back for anybody? Have you ever done that?
We have not. I will go to the auctions to meet investors.
Okay.
Because we have very similar products, but in my opinion, Sundae has a lot less risk because of all of the pictures and 3D tours and things that we provide. So the fact that you have the disclosures, all of that, there's a lot less risk for the investors to purchase through us. So when I go there and say, hey, if you're looking to buy a house cash, very similar deals, but we offer you a lot more.
Yeah.
So that's when I would go down there to meet the investors, but we haven't actually gone down there to try to save the property.
So when an investor goes to the courthouse steps, though, they may have paid, let's say, $300,000 for a house, but they still have to take care of all of the back taxes. They have to take care of all the fees and all that stuff anyway. So by you building it in up front and letting them know all this stuff, it's just more transparent.
It's more transparent than other things too, like they don't have to deal with evictions because all of our properties are delivered vacant unless agreed upon before.
Really?
So they're delivered vacant. They're delivered with free and clear title. Right, so you're not having to worry about liens and judgments and delinquent taxes and things like of that nature, right?
Yeah.
So it's much more safe because you know what you're getting. You're getting free and clear title. you're getting a vacant property. The costs that are associated with our deal, you're going to know up front. So there's a lot less surprises with a Sundae purchase than you would at the courthouse.
So who deals with squatters that just go plant up and move in and all that? Do you guys deal with all that stuff?
Depends on which stage of the process it is. We actually just had recently one where it had 2 little homes on a property on a single APN, and one of the renters vacated willingly. The other one hasn't paid in years. The seller had already started the eviction process, and he signed over the rights for that eviction process through the attorney. In that time that we had it in escrow, the renter that wasn't leaving moved his sister into the other house. So we now had a squatter in the other house while we were in escrow. So needless to say, that changed things a little bit. So that initial buyer, he backed out. He's like, I don't want to do 2 evictions, one which has not started yet. But we were able to, actually through the investor meetup that we go to, we were able to find a buyer that took it on, and within 7 days it closed from when I brought it to her.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, I bet it's a total pain to deal with the squatters going in and they wreck the place too, you know?
That's the hard part, is how much pressure do you put on them? Because the more pressure you put on them, the more likely that they might start doing some silly stuff that could cost you a lot of money. It's hard, and there's so you got to be very careful with
You ever have anybody like where you have the house, you just got it vacant, and somebody comes in and steals like the stove and the air conditioning unit and the...
I don't know, because once it transfers title, it's all on the new owner.
Okay.
So if that's happened, we're not usually privy to that information.
Yeah.
We did have one last year where the sale went through. I do, either myself or Jacob do the final walkthrough to make sure it's vacant.
Yeah.
It was vacant. We did the final walkthrough, closed escrow. That next day, the owner's son came back and squatted in the house. And at that point, because the new buyer owned it, it was on him, unfortunately, to take over getting the squatter out.
Wow. And do all these go through title? All these transfers, everything goes through title just like a normal deal?
Exactly.
Okay. And then, so getting out to real estate agents, like what's the most important thing and how do they get signed up with you guys?
Sure. So I would just say any real estate agent that has a property or knows of somebody that they don't want to deal with, because let's be honest, there are some agents like, I don't have time for this particular property because it's going to take so much work to get it to the MLS. Then you would contact one of us and we would get you started in the Sundae referral network, and they can plug a property address in and it will alert us, and then we can start the conversation with them, what they need for us to jump in to do to help them and their seller out.
Okay. And then on your end, you're more investor driven. So what would the investors or hard money people and that kind of stuff want to do?
Yeah, I would say for the investors, if they contact me at my email address, it's jross@sundae.com, and Sundae like a ice cream sundae. So
Okay.
SUNDAE. I can send them a link and then they can register. And then if you're an agent that has an investors, you can actually register on our marketplace as well, and then give me a call and we can discuss some options of how we can help your investor get properties while you're bidding for them. So it's a service that a lot of agents use to help their investors get off-market investment properties.
And then if let's say some listeners or viewers of this have a family member that's in distress, which one of you guys do they call?
That would be me,
Okay.
since I'm dealing with the sellers.
And do they have to have a QR code or anything, or do they
No.
just give you a call direct?
Just give me a call directly.
Okay.
And my cell is 279-234-6627, or you can email me at steve@sundae.com.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys so much for coming in today. We will hopefully get this out to a lot of people and get you guys some business coming in.
Yeah, thank
you
you
so
for
much
the
for having us.
opportunity.
Got it.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Great. Thank you.